Hey YouTube, Mr. Ishar here, and welcome back to the console room, the room in the house where we can talk about anything and everything. And today we're back with another Jump weekly review, a Shonen Jump to be exact. Today we're expanding our review beyond JuJutsu Kaisen. We're going to look at the international hit My Hero Academia and the oddly but popular Chainsaw Man series, and a new series debuting a little earlier this year, and one of my co-host Emperor Cusco's current favorites, Kaiju number 8. Here you found out full of conversations and about this week's chapters, as usually, chop it up. And it also includes the shorter videos that focus on each series. So we have the long format and the shorter ones. And you get to pick which one you want to listen to, or all together. We're still figuring exactly how we're going to cover many series, and I think we're probably going to cover some monthly series also, including Dragon Ball Super, and we'll continue to adapt. So please continue to listen and give us your feedback. Give it a like and a share, or just play it in the background on mute. It's up to you, really. Hope you enjoy the video. Feel free to leave a feedback in the comments, and stay tuned for more content. Thank you, and have a good day.
So yeah, let's JuJutsu 128.
Yeah, and it's part 45, the Shibuya incident. Yeah, man. I was pretty sad with Mekumaru, man. I mean, even when he died, but I was actually pretty happy he came back. But knowing it, it's not really him anymore. Well, like a lot of him left, really.
So I guess the first big thing is in this chapter we're seeing. I guess we already thought we kind of had the final goodbye with Mekumaru, but it's come back the second time around. In this pseudo-alive form due to his curse technique.
Yeah.
He really wasn't a really developed character, but I did find his plight kind of interesting because, his body was all messed up. He was living in that whole, like room that was essentially like a hovel.
Yeah.
And he had all those tubes and the water, and he couldn't see sunlight. So, I mean, I get it. That's not the type of life anybody would want. That's not the type of life anybody should live, really. That's a horrible quality of life, and he partnered with the cursed beings to get out of there. And when he did, he turned on them, which I thought was pretty cool. I wasn't really expecting that. But
I was pretty excited.
Other really than that turnaround moment, he doesn't get a lot of time to shine, and I think...
I disagree. I mean, like, when it comes to, like... I mean... I don't know, when it comes to Genjutsu, the characters are easy to kind of, like, get and understand, and then even if it's, like, one backstory, you kind of, like, I get it, and I enjoy it. Because, like, when he faced against Panda, or even, like, towards his, like, demise when he got his body in his, like, giant-ass mech suit and everything. And what really was actually sad when he, basically, well, when we thought he was just, like, bit the dust the first time around. Like, well, for real. Before he became, like, a comms. The girl that he's talking to, Miwa, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that name right. Like, she was just in the room, like, in a waiting room, and she was just, like, talking to, like, an empty, tusk. And, like,
the suit, yeah.
Yeah, and she was like, oh, maybe I should, like, hang out, like, we should come visit you or something like that, or, like, we should hang out. And I was like, oh, it's so sad, because, like, she doesn't know.
Just died.
Yeah. And so, like, it's nice to, like, it's a roundabout way, like, okay, he could finally say, like, goodbye and stuff like that to her, because it was pretty sad. Cause like, oh, it's so it's so brutal. So
yeah, I feel you. I think it's kind of cool that he gets, I guess, a little bit of like a secondary redemption arc, if you will.
Oh, for sure.
He ends up being super clutch here, right?
Oh, and also with Itadori against the one of the Womb brothers, that guy, the blood dude. Mm-hmm. Remember, he helped him, like, have a plan and stuff like that, and he was surprised that he was still alive. So.
Oh yeah, he's like, you're still there. Yeah. Okay. No, for sure. I kind of liked it because as I kind of mentioned, I feel he didn't have too much character development, and I like that he gets incorporated back into the story to kind of give him that extra little longevity and relevance. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I also like how he didn't really get the chance to address this kind of relationship that he was trying to protect her and all that type of stuff. They were, like, I guess, hinting at it previously a little bit, that there was kind of a relationship starting to form there.
Yeah, they were like, he liked her, she liked her, but they're teenagers, and yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if I had to rehash it really quickly, I guess I liked that he got a little bit of a redemption arc.
Yeah.
It was great to see them address his, not ever resolved relationships and kind of give them a little bit of closure. You know, he gets to kind of address his love. He tries to protect his senpais and all that type of stuff. And it was kind of funny for me because what I was going to kind of bounce off of you is I didn't really realize that I was wondering where all of these other characters were until it was
now
pointed out that they weren't there, because I was so invested in, okay, like, where is this going? You know, is Gojo going to get out of the prison? Oh man, Itadori's breaking. Like, what's going on here? Like, all of those types of things were so in the forefront that to, you know, finally get these guys addressed, and they're pissed because they kind of got played, and then all of this was pre-set up by Mekamaru. It was kind of crazy, actually, when you take all of that together.
Oh yeah.
I mean, were you thinking where were they? Because
I honestly forgot. I honestly forgot. Like, I was like, oh man, like I you know, but then again, I guess I should have remembered, like, man, where are the other students? Because it is a big, you know. But then again, aren't they the other side of, like, Tokyo? Aren't they, like, in the countryside of the other
Yeah, well, they're not all. I think these guys are from the other school for sure. I'm still wondering though, because have all the upperclassmen been here? I'm just trying to think, because like, yeah, because Panda was doing all of his transformations. Yeah, so I guess everybody from this school is here. So yeah, they didn't really leave the other school to kind of get involved until this instance. It's kind of interesting, in all honesty, because since you had all of the other characters from that school, from the one school tied together, I wasn't even thinking about the other one. It was such like a random jump that I was really surprised to think, oh yeah, why aren't these guys there?
Yeah, and I'm happy to see them. So like, I'm curious if are they gonna go help?
Playing a role in this? I don't know.
Cause, but he sent Toto, so I'm guessing they're not. Cause
right, that's the only thing that makes sense to me. Because Toto's supposedly the only one that would live, right?
Yeah.
He says, you know, oh, the big gorilla had like a X amount of percent chance versus like 99% chance that Toto would survive in Shippuden. So that's crazy. So there's literally 1% he's gonna die, and you know, I think based off the way the action kind of proceeds, I don't think we're in that 1% loop, because I guess this is a good way to segue into
the action scenes.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because once again, you know, Toto and Itadori, just this crazy combination that has never failed to just be so cool with the way they interact on like a fight-to-fight basis. You know, when they were taking on the
forest demon, or the forest curse, yeah,
or the nature curse, whatever you want to call it. It was crazy, and then here they are, and they're taking on Mahito, and it's just as crazy. And you know, with every single one of the fights in this series, it's just so well done.
Yeah, it's dynamic. You could understand what's happening with the clap and everything, and the switch, and I mean, even like he's surprised when he switches with a curse doll, or like I guess like a little small, because that thing is his like transmogged humans or whatever. Yeah, well that's exactly it, right? And it's pretty cool because, like, you know, all three are, you know, it's 2 against 1, right? And you know, it could have been 2 against 2 actually, but thanks to this girl, kind of like stopped that in its tracks. So that was a good, nice little like, you know, obviously she's not useless and she's strong, but it was just kind of cool. Like, oh man, he can't, like, he's not. Well, I guess when the chapter continues, like, they're finally gonna be at 120%. So.
Yeah, well, it's kind of interesting though, because they're talking about the damage of the souls, and you know, Kugisaki clearly ended up coming clutch by destroying that other clone. Or not destroying it, but like doing such vital damage from that first hit to the other clone. And yeah, it's a nice little kind of reminder that, you know, even if it's interesting because he actually calls her a nobody. Yeah. It literally says, like, despite being a nobody, she really like left her mark, and I found that kind of interesting because that made me then question. Oh, maybe it brought up the question again. I guess kind of is she gonna die? Because it's very passive already in the context, so it sounds. I guess he would assume that she's dead. So is, you know, are we as a reader trying to kind of be led by that as well? I also liked how you mentioned the clap again. The clap is just great again on page 9. It's just the very first part of the page in the top right, and you know, it doesn't interrupt the scene. It's so well placed, and it's great because since you're flipping from page to page, from 8 to 9, and you're seeing this instance of Mahito trying to recover from that position, right?
Yeah.
And then boom, the first thing you see is the clap. So you know whatever you're gonna see in the rest of this panel, it's switched places. So it's just gonna make sense, as opposed to how I kind of mentioned in our first review that when you're reading some of this stuff, you just lose track in what's going on in the panels. But I just find that never happens here, especially with little incorporations like that.
And of course, Toto does his like Black Flash, so that's pretty cool. I'm like, yeah, his version, you know what I mean? And it was a kick and everything, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was really well done because he starts questioning himself. He's got the inner monologue going. Where he quotes what he said to Itadori, where he's like, if you're okay with who you are now, our friendship won't last. And he starts like questioning himself. He's like, are you going to leave your brother to cry, Toto? Like, are you going to leave him all alone, Toto?
That's a good...
You have to get stronger, right? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, boom, and then he pulls out the Black Flash, like you mentioned. And that's just sick. Like, it was such a nice bond to have with like Itadori, and I like that it's kind of like, the rivalry that's like getting pushed to one another. Yeah. But it's not toxic. I found there's so many kind of shonen that play on that trope. There's so much content that plays off that trope. You look at Kingdom Hearts, like Riku gets it's a toxic relationship, but they're pushing each other forward. Yeah. Same obviously with Naruto, stuff like this. And I like that this is a positive instance of that, and like a kind of shonen tropey story.
Yeah, of course, and then you see him with his like soul manipulation and then like body repel, which is actually we've seen that movie before. He done it only like once with like one, I guess, mouth looking thing, but now he done it with multiple, so that's pretty like gross and wretched. But I'm curious, and then obviously like the chapter ends where like they gotta kick it up a notch, and what he says is pretty interesting. Was like, this is our last chance to curse each other. So I'm like, I guess. Do you want, like, what is your end goal? Like, I'm still confused.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's kind of one thing. I guess a true kind of end game for Mahito as like a villain hasn't entirely like been established. I feel he's still kind of playing off
I'm the bad guy
of the head guy. I'm just gonna call him the head curse guy because I can't even think.
Yeah.
We don't have a name for the thing in his head. And that's like what it is. So
yeah.
So I think Mahito's still kind of playing off the machinations of that. So what his true purpose is, other than he kind of wants to clearly get this sort of alive feeling, or to know what his soul is. We don't really know what motivations he has kind of beyond that. So I'm interested about the language.
Yeah, because I mean, like, he's clearly based off, not based, but like thinking like theories now. He's kind of like, he's obviously a similar appearance to Frankenstein. He's an amalgamation of like different body parts and stuff like that. And and like how Frankenstein came to life and he's like alive, but does he have a soul? Because if you want to talk about that, go to that aspect. But yeah, I'm curious what is his goal? And like I can't even think of a way to like how this fight's gonna end. And like what more? I could see the next chapter. We'll probably like see a little bit of the fight. And we're probably gonna cut somewhere else. If not, it might be just them three fighting each other. But I think we'll cut somewhere else. There's still a lot of like stuff going around in Shibuya, so we'll see.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. I like the Frankenstein analogy. It's kind of interesting because you could argue that all of the other curses that we've seen, there's been a very clear relation between the physical appearance and what they relate to. You've got the curse of the sea and all the negativity that goes there, drowning, yada yada yada, right? There's also probably like the hatred of the ocean to an extent, wanting to get back at humans. Same thing with nature, and then as we've kind of spoken about previously, not on recording, but the lava, like
the mountain dude, I guess is
like
the mountain
fear of these great disasters and stuff like that. Yeah,
for sure.
But we don't really have kind of that same implications with Mahito. I mean, like, he's a patchwork guy that can like manipulate his body pretty oddly.
And other people's souls. It's like, it's very like, what are you? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, he said it before, but like, is it really that? Because I feel like there's more to it.
Yeah, I feel you. It's kind of like there's got to be more to it. Personally, I'm almost in a weird way reminded of like Oogie Boogie from The Nightmare Before
Yeah,
Christmas.
yeah, I could definitely see that.
Where you don't really know what makes him up. Like, yeah, the bugs come out, but it's like, how did the bugs like form a conscience and you know all that type of stuff? And he's also a bit of a patchwork character as well. So that's been kind of cool.
But I mean, it's also a manga where it's like the word curse is like it's a physical thing. It's also like a like non-physical thing, but it's also a power level essentially. A power level term. Power level term where it's like this is my curse. You know what I mean? Like this is my
Especially your special grade curse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So
you get ranked.
Yeah, it's definitely the term curse in this manga is very like used for a lot of things. So
yeah, it's very it's fluid.
Like,
it names a lot of things. I feel you.
Like
so
literally and then figuratively.
Here, right?
You know what I mean? What happened?
Yeah. So again, it's like, what's the connotation here? Like, what's he trying to say by saying this is our last chance to curse each
like
other?
Let's attack each other with everything we got, or like do we like literally like I want to haunt you? So yeah, I'm curious about how that's gonna end. But it's a good chapter. I'm excited for the next one. Still the Shibuya incident. I mean, like this is it's funny that just my final thoughts. Great chapter overall. I'm excited for the next fight. It's funny that the titles always remind me of JoJo because that's how like he titles his chapters where it's like, or mainly he titles them where it's an enemy and it's like part 1 through 7 or whatever.
Yeah, I feel you.
Like let's say I don't know, like Killer Queen part 4, like Killer Queen part 7. Like oh man, is he gonna So it's very easy naming convention, But like you get it because like okay, we're still in this Shibuya incident. We're still in this like Soto's basically war arc, I guess. But like, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah. Well, the one thing that I want to mention that we didn't get on recording from last week is the other theory for a Toto domain expansion, being that one of the main things that he kind of does is try and turn like dreams into reality, or he makes up these fake pasts. So I'm wondering if his domain expansion, he just kind of makes reality become whatever. He just has the ability to like freely manipulate it within a certain space. Because it's just kind of these idea of he makes the past exist even though it's not true, and yet somehow you kind of still see like the outcome in the future because he created that fake past for him and Itadori. Now they're friends, kind of thing. He calls them brother. They fight well together. All this kind of thing. Yeah. And when you look at Gojo's domain expansion, I think it's possible with how crazy into the realm of like physics and space and time and all that sort of thing Gojo's ability gets. I don't see why that kind of something of similar level couldn't happen with Toto.
That's true.
But yeah, that was I just wanted to bring that up. Other than that, yeah, I don't know. There was a lot less implications kind of to be left off of on this one. Mm-hmm. So we'll just have to see where it goes. As you mentioned, they're at 120%. And they're pushing each other beyond the limits, so it's just going to be whose limit breaks. Oh, actually, sorry, there was one other thing.
Yeah.
I love the 2-page spread on, I guess, 14 and 15. Is it a 3-page spread? Well, it's all three of them.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's the image you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that.
Itadori has Sukuna vibes in that imagery.
I can see that.
Like, that's way more of like a Sukuna pose to me than it is like an Itadori pose. Just the angle and everything.
Yep.
I don't know why. I was just like, okay, that was kind of very different. I feel that's not a usual face, and I don't know if it's the circumstances. Obviously, like I mean, it literally says 120% on the panels, but I don't know, man. There was something about that. It just, I just got a feeling. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, no, I get you, man. It's definitely I definitely see it. I mean, I like Toto's face with the kiss. I think that was awesome.
He's just such a badass. He kind of pulls it off. You're like,
he does.
Oh, he just did a black flash. He kind of that's his flex, I guess.
Yeah. Yep.
He's just kind of like, I just did this kind of thing. So that's cool.
Cool, man.
All right, man.
Next manga, I say we do Chainsaw Man. If we're gonna stick into this.
I knew.
It's a. All right. Okay. Tell me when you have it up.
Yeah, I'm good.
Cool.
All right, so hold on. I just want to go off for 15 seconds. I haven't intimately read Chainsaw Man, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of jumped in a little bit on this series, and I get why people like it, but at the same time, I'm like, this is just the weirdest thing on the planet. So I'll just kind of get the conversation, I guess, going with, powers form currently makes knives just jut out of people. And I'm just like, the power scaling in this series makes zero sense.
Yeah.
Like, zero.
That's the point. Well, like, okay, so we could always talk about that in later. I say we talk about the manga, but or at least the chapter that came out, chapter 91. And I think the series, I could definitely see the series. I feel like the series is definitely gonna come to an end. I say if I'm gonna give it a number, I say I don't know, maybe chapter 100 just to be clean or whatever.
No, do you think it's gonna go down that quickly with the way this leaves? I don't know, man.
Yes. I mean, like, the main bad guy is like right there with like zombies and everything. Yeah.
But is that the real?
I mean, like,
bad guy, though?
yes,
you
because
the Gun Devil was the main bad guy.
he's done. He's gone.
In between.
The gun.
Yeah, I know, but couldn't there still be something more? Because
no, because we've seen the Darkness Devil. I think he ate that one, and I think he ate the Hell Devil. And remember, Nazis don't exist anymore. So
and he already went to hell recently.
Oh, and
obliterated that entire civilization, basically.
Also, we haven't even started on the chapter. I need to look it up. Apparently Sunday doesn't exist in this world because some point in time, the Chainsaw Man, like not Denji himself, but the person, I guess the monster,
the previous Chainsaw Man,
or like I guess the monster itself, Chainsaw Man, ate the Sun Devil or something like that, or ate some type of like devil that like people like. There's no Sunday in that world where like it's literally 6 days a week instead
That's
of
weird.
yeah. So
because it just erases itself, right? It doesn't exist. It didn't exist.
Yeah. But like starting off with the chapter, I just love the title, Power. So it's like mainly it's about her. What I like about this is because in the previous chapter we were like, oh wow, she just portrayed Denji like that. And to be honest, I was like, well, I'm not really surprised because she's like, Power is very similar to a cat. If Denji is a dog, Power's like a cat where she like does her own thing.
Okay.
And she doesn't care, and which is actually very evident because like when we first meet her, again, you haven't like got into it not too much, and I do say you should probably like reread it, even if you like speed through it.
I will. Don't worry.
She has when we first introduced her, when we first get introduced for her, she's like weird, whatever, or actually, well, every character, the way they're written is just very like odd, but somehow real in a weird way. I can't even like form words. She has a cat, and she actually like really liked that cat, and like one of like the first main missions, like we got to go find the cat. So like yeah, they went to. So she's very much a cat, like if you want to see her, and Denji being a dog, and that kind of speaks to Denji being like loyal to this girl, Makima, I think that's her name, if I remember correctly. But oh man, she's the worst. But like, and also him having the little chainsaw dog, who is the monster, I guess, in like a cute form, which is also a dog. But going through the chapters, or at least the page, I was kind of surprised that she hesitated because I'm like, oh, maybe yeah, she wants to look out for herself. But then you see like flashbacks of them like, hanging out, just and like it's like subtle panels, like them taking a shower together, just them like hanging out and stuff like that. And there's one panel too where you see like they rescued the cat together, so like there's like she remembers that. And like if you're talking about power, yeah, like knives out everywhere, yeah, it's I mean, you have a devil that's straight up what was he, the Darkness Devil, which dragged everyone to hell, and like everyone lost their arms, and yeah, it was pretty crazy because like I didn't expect hell to look like that, where it's just doors and like a field of, I think, flowers, if I remember correctly. So
that's insane. Okay.
Yeah, and it's pretty crazy. And as you can see, like she's getting chased by the zombies, and I was actually really happy that she was like saving Denji like towards the end. And the funny thing is, when they go to the dumpster, that same position that she's on top and he's in the bottom, that's like a very similar position where I forgot his name, but I call him Poochie, the little chainsaw dog. That's the same pack when he was like, you know, that was the same position they were both in when they were in the dumpster. So they're, you know, and this is where, you know, they make the pact and everything. Where like, come find me, you know, because like once I'm gone, I'm not gonna be the same person. But if you find, you know, the Blood Devil again, please be friends. So, and like, this is such a different contrast from compared to like JuJutsu, where like devils are also a like figuratory, but also a real like thing. You know what I mean? Where like fear makes it stronger. Where like the reason the Gun Devil was so like powerful and feared because, you know, let's say it's our world, right? You know, guns is like an inherent fear for a lot of people, you know, wherever you're from. You know, even if, you know, march for, you know, the rights to bear arms, it's still like, you know, it's still, I don't want to get shot. Like nobody does, right? So,
yeah, I feel you.
And like for that to be like an actual like monster and like thing, like to physically like, you know, fight, I guess if you want to call that, it's interesting.
It's a negative feedback loop, right? Like it feeds into itself because, you know, people are scared of guns, so the gun devil gets stronger, and yeah, no, I feel you. And then its strength only further increases their fear, for sure.
But this chapter kind of like not that I had mixed emotions, but like man, there was moments in like I guess I want to say definitely between page 12, where like Denji didn't have like, you know, you go back to the chapter 1, he didn't have a life. Like he was like had a dead end job as like a mercenary, if you want to call it, killing like demons and stuff like that, where he was crazy in debt. And like he couldn't, like, you know, there's days where he can only eat like bread for a meal or like water, and that was like the most exciting thing he had. And like since they met, you know, Power and the other guy who I can't even is it Ayuki? I can't even pronounce his name. Where he, you know, also died. Like he lived a life, and like that's what he wanted in the, you know, like actually when he first met what's her name, the girl that, you know, that's right now attacking everyone and has control of like almost every power. It has control of almost every power. Where like he was excited just to get like a sandwich, you know, or like a hug, because he, you know, he never had that before. So it's just, you know, like I don't know. For me, it's like, man, Denji, like if you had it rough, like he had it rough, and like to just get that ounce of happiness, even though it's probably haven't been a full year, and he, you know, he was ready to accept his like life, and I'm like, I get it, because it's, you know, the most exciting thing was to like get a sandwich and like, or like a meal from a restaurant, like he literally killed, I don't know, like anyone for that, you know, because, you know, he can't, because he was, you know, excited. Heck, he, you know, the joke around, I don't know if you ever seen like the memes from his, like, you know, Denji before, like, yeah, I'll kill anyone for, you know, to touch a titty, but like now it's like, no, I must protect my family. So,
oh wow,
yeah,
okay, that's crazy different.
Yeah, because like he's a very different protagonist, where like any ounce of like just like basic necessities that we find, you know, like sleeping in the bed, or just like, you know, eating a full meal with your family, or just eating a meal, you know what I mean? It's like a extreme luxury to him. So it's like, you know, he gets that, like, you know, he's happy with that. But I'm glad that Power just kind of like convinces him, like, don't do that, don't throw away your life. And it's interesting because we never saw Power like really because they act like brother and sister. That's kind of weird, actually. I don't want to say that because there's very some, like, you know, because they made out.
Not quite that relationship.
Yeah, it's not that quite a relationship, but they're very buddy. You know, because again, he never had a relationship with a girl in general. That was like one of his wishes. Like, man, I wish I could like have a girlfriend, you know, and stuff like that. You know, just anything aside from just working at a, you know. Again, first chapter, he didn't have an eye, and I think he like sold one of his like kidneys, or liver, like, yeah, it was one of his kidneys, just so he could like lower down the debt, but it still didn't do like nothing. So it's rough. But I'm
yeah, good. That's pretty crazy. That's a tough life for any protag, for sure.
Yeah. And like I just zooming past, like being like, you know, this is very short. You know, even though it's 19 pages, it feels very short. Which is kind of very when it comes to Chainsaw Man, it somehow does that, because they have pages where it's like 19 pages, and that's a lot of pages for, you know, for in one chapter, right? But it feels crazy short. But I mean, coming from the trash, Denji's like emerging from the trash, like that's just yeah.
Rising from the trash.
Yeah, like
yeah.
you know, like insert clip from like Always Sunny. Like I'm the trash man. Just he's not trash no more. And I think that's like maybe he still considers himself that. Like I don't know if that's this writer is. I can't tell if he's trying to be deep or just like whatever. And it works both ways, which is weird. Where like these characters like the way they talk is like, yeah, I guess someone would talk like that if they they never had anything to begin with. So. But yeah, Denji emerging from the trash and like he made a contract with Power. So and then you see this guy who I thought he was controlled by this girl, but I guess not because I'm not actually too familiar with his devil abilities. So and he reminds me of Mac Mickelson. I don't know if you see the resemblance. So yeah. And to be honest, like again, the way they talk, like if you are Denji, he'll set him free. But if you're not, just keep sleeping in the dumpster. Which is like, what if he was? What would you have done? You'd have just like kept him there, or just?
I don't even know, man. That's funny that you say that because it's kind of like, then just keep on sleeping in the dumpster. You think to yourself, oh, well, do you need him to do that so it doesn't go off on you?
Do you need him, or do you need it? Yeah, or do you
like snide about it? Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure he wanted Denji to come back, but like.
Well, yeah, no. But I mean the part about like sleeping in the dumpster, like that's very different, right? There's definitely, I guess, hidden meaning there. It's either gonna be some sort of stress, and the ass, a fight.
And I like to think we're like, well, I guess he doesn't consider himself trash anymore if he's like emerging from garbage, right? I mean, am I reading too deep into it? You think? I don't know. Like,
who knows?
I can't tell with him sometimes. Like, I honestly.
Also, probably a little too early because I mean, the emotional, we'll say, stability of this series is basically a zero.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how randomly like Power got killed in the first place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't open the door, Denji. Don't open the door. Opens the door, boom, done. And you're just sitting there, okay. Well, that came out of flipping nowhere.
Yeah, at all.
So, it's an emotional up and down at all points in the series for sure. So I don't really think you can say that yet. Mm-hmm. Because again, when the gun devil finally is killed, instantly Denji's depressed after that situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously because...
Oh, yes, you're right. Where like his...
Killing,
yeah, he had to kill this friend, and like it's just it was, and again,
the point still being that you went from it's kind of like a pivotal good moment because the gun devil's dying, but the friend dies, so it goes into a tailspin and it goes lower, and then it goes even lower with Power dying, and then it's going like even lower because he's living in the chainsaw thing, and then all of a sudden it just veers up, and he's like, okay, I've got a contract, I'm gonna kind of live, and that just means when that's the emotional roller coaster you just went on. You can't really comment on.
And it's also insane where it's like, whoa, his power comes from people fearing him, and like everyone's cheering. It's like a reverse spirit bomb. Where like that's how I got like, oh no, this person is like losing.
Planet Earth, give me your energy.
No, please don't.
Please, I'm good. Yeah.
Stop this right now. But so I do suggest rereading it. See, the Gun Devil is also an interesting devil because apparently, okay, so, I guess spoilers from like, I don't know, 12 to maybe 20 chapters ago. When we see the Gun Devil, it's the massive monster. And apparently America has the power of the Gun Devil. Because, so, again, it's an insane manga, and like, it's also one of the darkest mangas just speaking in, this story. It's one of the darkest mangas like Shonen has ever published, at least that I can think of right now. From like at least, or I could say at least recent years, because back in the day they the 70s you had anything. I mean, and it's also very reminiscent of Devilman, where like again that has some very dark themes. Like you had like lynching and everything. It's very like, and even the ending itself is like, wow, that's kind of yeah. I don't.
No, I feel you. It's an unusual.
Yeah.
I guess.
And I guess
I feel you.
Yeah, and it's very. It reminds me of I'm surprised how it's shonen, but it's very similar to like I can't even pronounce the other word. It's like it's called Shannon, I think it's called. You know, kind of like Berserk or those other ones, or like Gantz.
Oh yeah, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. The way darker and more mature series. Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel you. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
I'll definitely go back and check it out for sure.
But
I'm actually kind of like starting to look through chapter one a little bit now.
But yeah, going back to the Gun Devil. The Gun Devil,
Oh, Vegeta.
just a quick rundown. The Gun Devil is that's probably one of the most horrific chapters I ever read. Aside from like Junto Ito's like work and stuff like that. Have you ever read his horror or stories?
No, I tend to veer away from that.
Yeah, that's to be in Shonen Jump and to like see that. I'm like, whoa, that's like. I mean, I manga can make you feel, happy, sad, and all this, and this was just like shocking. I'm like, whoa, this is like brutal. This is just like I like who thinks of something like that. Yeah, and basically to run it down, so America apparently has the power of the Gun Devil, and to way to activate it, the president of the United States sacrifices one life of every American, but without the knowledge of the America, like let's say, yeah, it's like and then like, whew, I mean, again, like the next chapter when
Oh, so it's not even Denji's dead, eh? It's the death of his father.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep. And I'm also there's another thing, going on a long tangent, like I'm going over places. We still don't know why she's like. I mean, aside from like maybe she wants to control the chainsaw monster, right?
Or we have no idea why Makima's doing what she's doing. Yeah.
Yeah, with
I
like
gathered that.
Denji, like, oh, did he kill his father? Like, what's up? Like, how do you know his father? Because she mentioned his father before. But going back to the Gun Devil, like again, the next chapter that you actually see him use his power, and it's like pretty horrific because it's very like, okay, you see bullets flying, and then you just see. I'm just gonna ruin the chapter. Spoilers, please. And it's also like I guess it's pretty brutal just to talk about. You see the Gun Devil use his ability, and he's a massive monster, and you just see bullets flying everywhere in like different parts of like Japan, and like everywhere. Like you see like a church, and I think you see like I can't remember other places too, but like aside from seeing like the bullets fly, you see names like across the panels, like just a bunch of names. Like I don't know, like let's say like a random like Yamamoto something, and then like just a whole bunch of names, panel after panel, and like those are the names that the Gun Devil just killed. And it's like, it's very, I want to say it's similar to like,
Macabre.
I'm sorry?
Creepy.
Yeah, it's one of the most like, that's, I don't want to say heart wrenching, but it was like, oh man, that's just, who thinks of that? And I don't want to say in a bad way. It's more like just surprising and shocking. I think it's supposed to be shocking. It's supposed to like, emanate that. It's supposed to like, this is a monster, and this is I mean I don't think the writers like F guns and stuff like that. This is just this world, and that's how it is, and horrific. But it could also be preaching like, look how bad it is, because there is if you want to talk about our school shootings and stuff like that, and like gun laws and all that stuff. But going back to Chainsaw Man and Denji himself, I'm the peace sign. He's back, and I don't know what's gonna happen next. I honestly, with this manga, every chapter is like, excuse me.
It's up in the air. Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, we're like, someone's like, okay, it might be another fight scene, it might be a backstory, but like this one's like, I have no clue. I don't think Denji. I think Denji might make it in the end. I have no clue, but yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited for the next chapter and how it's gonna go. So that's quick and long rundown of Chainsaw Man, because we didn't get to it last time, so hopefully and also let people go ahead and read it. Yeah. So like next one we're gonna do Kaiju number 8. What chapter we're on?
15.
15.
It's already 15. I don't know. I'm loving this series. To be honest, I think if it's kind of interesting actually if you look at the 3 out of the 4 things that are being reviewed are kind of all more in the monster category
It is.
than kind of traditional. I guess more traditional of hero and bad guy from if you look at something like Hunter x Hunter, I guess there's Chimerans.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll stick with some of the more. We'll go with like a classic, like Dragon Ball Z. It's always like aliens. Like yeah, they're monstrous people, but they're not actually like monsters themselves. Meanwhile, JuJutsu have like curse monsters, curse creatures. These are creepy looking things. You got Chainsaw Man, all of these these devils, these demons. These are creepy looking things. And then you come to the kaiju's, and these are also like creepy looking things. So it's just it's kind of interesting. It's right around Halloween. There's
I mean, Halloween's past by the time this goes up.
well, that's true. That's true. But the day of the release is the day after Halloween. So yeah, I don't know. It's I'm loving Kaiju number 8 so far. I'm not usually a fan of actually kaiju stories. I'm not a big Godzilla fan. I'm not a big Mothra, all that type of stuff.
Really, I actually enjoy stuff like that. I actually enjoy like monsters.
Like I've never seen Pacific Rim.
Ah, you're a madman, bro. It's an awesome movie. I mean, not obviously you know this, but like I love like mechs or like giant mechs in general. So like if there's a cool monster to fight, then yeah, and if the design is good, then yeah, I enjoy it. And like going.
No, I'm not that type of guy though. I don't know, which is why. Excuse me, sorry. That's why for me, Kaiju number 8 is so great because it's they're using a suit. It gives them kind of superpowers, so you get a little bit of physical combat.
Yeah.
Especially with obviously Kefka as the main character, because I mean he literally becomes like humanoid kaiju. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then there's a little bit of like gun action, so you get that type of stuff, and then they mix in a teensy bit of I guess powers, if you will. If you look at the way the captain shot the huge.
That's true.
Things, yeah, like she just obliterated that huge kaiju in like 2 chapters ago. So there's a little bit of kind of everything for everyone, and then you got your kaijus, or these giant things, as the total bad guys. So I think this series it's very broad in terms of being able to grab a lot of audiences, because I'm way more into I guess like the hand-to-hand combat. I'm not a big mech guy, but you get a person who can use a giant rail cannon. It's not really a mech, but it's like a mech-sized weapon.
Yeah,
so it kind of almost works. You feel me?
I understand. It's futuristic Monster Hunter. I know.
There we go. That's yeah. So it's been a great chapter read so far. This is kind of I guess the very first big incident that's being dealt with since he came into the academy.
Yep.
And I think it's a good one so far. I mean, they're not doing anything crazy. I think for me, the big thing that kind of segued from this chapter to last chapter is the reveal of this other humanoid kaiju, who's also surprisingly in the in the cleanup crew that Kefka used to be in, or Kefka.
And I'm curious, like, okay, like what, like, have they always talk? You know what I mean? Like, why can this one talk? You know what I mean? So I'm interested. Like, eventually we'll find their goal. What's their goal and stuff like that. I do like his design. I think it's pretty okay. I don't think it doesn't blow my mind, but I like it. It's okay. It's creepy enough. It's like flat head. I'm actually hoping. One thing I really liked about Pacific Rim, or like any Pandra, or like I want to see even similar to like Ultraman. Like the monsters have names, or like the humans give the monsters names. So like in Pacific Rim, the monsters, the humans give the monsters names, or like the kaiju names. Like there's like I'm trying to remember, like there's like Knife Head and stuff like that. So I'm actually curious, like I wonder if they'll give this guy a name. Like right now I'm
sure this would be 9 or something, because the whole reason Kefka gets called they don't I guess have names yet, or maybe some of them do, but they're not being specified.
Yeah.
But currently there seems to be I guess 1 through 8 on a high priority list.
Yep.
And number 8 is Kefka, obviously, like hence the name. But for anybody who might not be reading it and just checking it out, so maybe it could be just number 9. It's as simple as that, or maybe it's one of the 8 and we just don't know, because we've actually never seen a catalog of what I guess the previous 7 are. So that could be, there's that possibility too. I guess the question that kind of my head's been at more recently though is he a kaiju that can turn into a human, or is he like Kefka and he's a human that turns into a kaiju
That's
and
good.
like he just became evil? They haven't like that's not been touched on.
I think it's a kaiju that could turn to a human.
You think so?
I think so, because the way he talks.
Yeah, I guess it is a little funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's yeah, I'm looking through some of the panels, I guess, on page 9. He's like, right, radio communication. Yes, already got that covered. So, yeah, there is something odd about this.
Like he's learning new information, like kind of like like okay, this is what humans use, this is what they have and everything. It's kind of funny. I'm curious like how but I do know what you mean. There's like like it's very much like a gunfight. It's not just all punching, so they could definitely go places with it. Like I said, I like his design. They don't have a name for him yet, so I'm hoping they call him like Flat Top or something like that, or Flathead. I mean, I'm calling him Flathead because like, look at that.
He looks more like a fungus to me. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I can understand
that. He looks like a giant mushroom cap to me.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Especially with like the bubbly hands and stuff like that.
That's
kind of the impression that I get.
Like the spores and stuff like that. I could definitely see that.
Yeah. So.
But
his character design is also just really weird. Looking at it, like that scene where he's just staring at them after he gets kind of confronted. Like, oh, I mean, yeah, they just made him super creepy.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I'm kind of pumped about is we get to see a little bit more development of, I guess, our secondary character, which is pretty cool. What the heck is his name again?
Reno?
Oh, Reno?
Reno?
Yeah. Reno, yeah. Thank you. So, yeah, I kind of love it. Just, we've seen his potential, I guess, in kind of spare panels mostly. Yeah. Where, it's kind of like, oh, I've gotten 8% out of my suit now, and he kind of just takes a couple shots or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole time, Kefka's kind of been in the background, so there's always been that kind of safety net.
Yeah.
And I mean, he is here now, but I like that it's definitely going to give him a little bit of a time to shine, because they kind of talked about it as soon as, I guess, this kind of part of the arc, or maybe this arc, I'm not really sure, came up where they're going into battle. He's like, oh, I switched to freeze rounds instead of burst because it works better for my style. And I'm like, that's kind of interesting. Well, let's see what he's going to be able to do with that. And then they actually give you a breakdown of kind of all of the different options there are for the technology that they've created because of kaiju. So that was kind of cool too.
I'm definitely curious how the story is going to go because I mean, obviously, I feel like we're obviously going to see more monsters. And and other characters, from like the division, and I'm hoping like more division members like shine because it's just like I just have the main character and then his friend, so who's like I guess he's like 19, and I do like the dynamic between like the main character, he's like an older fella, or like well, he's in his 30s, so he's not like your typical.
He's not your typical hero, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's not your typical like. I'm a 17-year-old boy, and it looks like he's about to crush the whole building in half, but yeah.
Or, your middle schoolers in, like, Captain Tsubasa. And
yeah.
Jumping off of, like, nets and stuff like that.
Hey, man, that's real. People could do that. I mean, I don't know middle schoolers, but, hey, if you control the center, you control the universe. Remember that.
Oh, my lord, yeah. I've heard that once or twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, though. They've got the one female, what the heck's her name? She's got the crazy family. She's trying to impress everybody. She's not currently in this fight. It's actually kind of surprising. I was actually really not expecting us to get that much development for that particular character as quickly as we did. But I guess it's kind of like working as a rival.
Yeah.
Which is always.
And I guess you have to because, like, there's a lot of a few chapters ago, a lot of when the training cadets were like starting and stuff like that. A lot of characters did get introduced. So maybe we'll see some shine, like I said before, when like this kaiju attack is happening because this is like literally after their training, isn't it? Like or like they got accepted in.
Yeah. So this is basically
like
a couple weeks, I guess, into their
division.
What do you want to call it? I don't even know.
Yeah.
Their jobs, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know their service. I don't even know. Sorry. So for this event to kind of hit so quickly, that's been pretty
Well, like I said before, we can always do an edit. I could always do you can always do an editorial, and if you want to like really write something down, I could always like edit it and stuff like that, so we can have another video out. So.
Yeah, that's fair. I think in that case then, just to kind of, I guess we'll go into My Hero.
Okay.
Well, sorry, I'll give final thoughts and then we'll go to My Hero.
Yep.
I've really been enjoying this series so far. Like I said, it's kind of got just enough to grab anyone. The art's been really fantastic. The fighting's also been great. I've kind of spoken about how sometimes I feel you can get lost in reading certain series.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is another one of those that
simple.
You don't kind of. It's very straightforward.
Yep.
You know, it just happens kind of thing. So I love that about it. I'm really looking forward. This is something that I definitely want to see pick up some steam because it's a series I don't want to see canceled. And we know how strict Shonen is about running things.
Yeah, like Shueisha back. Yeah, if it's not popular enough, gotta kick the boot. But I'm also well, I'll give my final thoughts too. Yeah, I really enjoyed the series. It's simple to get into. We don't get that many much like if you want to call it kaiju stuff. You know what I mean? Aside from like, I mean, there's kaiju manga for sure out there. Like, but if you're talking about Shonen Jump, there really isn't. Not that I can think of. Like, there's no Godzilla-esque type of thing. You know, yeah, there's like monsters. You know, or like nine-tailed beasts or whatever. But that's kind of different. I would say. But yeah, I enjoy the art. It's pretty simple and it's pretty easy to follow when it comes to that. I mean, again, it's super early to get on. It's like 15 chapters in. You know, hopefully people will like it. So that's basically 1 volume and a half right now. An interesting note, we talked about this before and you probably forgot. He works, what is it, every 2 weeks, and then the third week is just colored pages.
Oh no, yeah. So it's literally it's a 3 weeks, I guess, out of a month, if you will.
Yeah, so there we go, 3 weeks, and then a break.
And then there's a week off.
Yeah, which is an interesting thing. I don't think I've seen before. Where like, what kind of deal he worked? I mean, I'm pretty sure we could Google it, but if we can't, like what kind of deal did he work with Shueisha? Where like he could, okay, I'm gonna work for these 3 weeks, and then the other one. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's still working on his off week, so to speak.
Oh, of course.
Working on the story.
No, you're definitely right. Because you know, if you're reading it on Shonen and Viz and stuff like that,
we're like, okay, we get our chapter. Yeah.
And then there's a couple of color images from previous covers and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and it's sick. Like if you go to 14.1 and you check out the second image, that's the cover from chapter 8 colored.
Yeah.
And tell me that's not crazy. That looks so good. And
It does.
It's just a colored panel, so it goes to show well, not just a colored panel, but
Yeah.
It goes to show the quality of the panel before colors even added.
Yeah.
That it looks that great when it's colored.
So I am curious, like how is this like getting published, even in Japan too, where it's just like does he just publish every 3 weeks and then he does the coloring for like the cover pages, or I'm curious, like, and not like why they gave him a deal, like has he done previous work, because I honestly haven't looked into the name. But
no, and maybe that's something that we should do.
But other than that, I like the design. I like his kaiju form too. I'm pretty sure it's gonna evolve. His kaiju form will evolve eventually. So it reminds me of Ultraman in a different like sort of way.
If Ultraman looked a little evil.
Yes.
Well, I guess you mean in terms of though it's very simple.
Yeah.
It hasn't been too crazy. Like
Yeah.
it's basically a muscle suit with a crazy head.
Yeah.
So I get you. It's very clean in that nature for sure.
But yeah, that's my thought on Kaiju number 8. We're definitely gonna keep reading it until it gets an anime. So.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Cool. On to My Hero Academia.
289.
9.
Can you believe, actually?
No, I cannot. 289.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. It's literally 11. Well, I guess 10 weeks away from being a
300.
300 chapter series. That's crazy. Like, just wow. Good for My Hero. It's just blown up, man. It's been absolutely crazy. I remember, you introducing me to this series. You were like, you gotta read it. And
Yep.
I think it was probably only in the 90s then. So, I mean, it had been out, I guess, you look at 52 weeks in a year.
Well, yeah,
Just under 2 years.
because I started reading it.
Almost every
I started reading it when it was the tournament one, the first one where he was facing against Todoroki, and I was like, oh, this looks pretty cool. I have no idea what's happening, and I couldn't read the previous chapters because they were like officially out. So I'm like, oh, I gotta work my way around. So, and I was like, okay, this is pretty good. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and then you got me into it in that 90 range, so I guess it had been even a little bit more time, because I think that was just coming up to the stain stuff. I think that's where it was going. And that's where it got crazy. Or maybe that was just where he was learning All for One Cowl.
Yep.
And that's where it really was like, wow, okay, this is kind of getting interesting, because he's finally not breaking his body, because that was definitely a point of contention for me a little early on. I get it, maybe a few too many instances that happened previously, like, oh, they get the power, and then they're instantly so good with the power, and they've had it for like 30 seconds, as opposed to this is like, no, there's a learning curve. There's always going to be a learning curve.
Oh, for sure.
So that's been kind of cool. And yeah, and now here we are 11 chapters away, and things are still continuing to escalate, I guess.
Yeah, because this dude, how do you pronounce his name? Giganto Meshin?
I don't even know, man.
I'm not gonna lie. I call him I don't know, like Harry Gante. Like I can't. Yeah.
This guy's crazy, dude. Yeah. So I mean, he's just on the way. Nijure and Ida are about to like sprint out of there, I guess, to warn everybody. Man, the pacing of this arc has been, I don't even know how to describe it, because the last few chapters were quite obviously the climax, but even as it's kind of winding down,
it
still feels so tense.
Oh yes, because there's still the other, like, okay, we have this problem going on, but then we got the other one happening over there. I can't show you everything, but there's some shit that's going down over there. But I'm gonna show the camera over here for now. But just know in the back of your mind, stuff going over there, that's a problem right now. So yeah.
And that's exactly it, right?
Yep.
Because I mean, in this chapter, really, it only touches on the Toga and the Uravity fight.
Mm-hmm.
So it focuses on that, and it also focuses on, I guess, the aftermath of what's becoming the aftermath.
Deku and yeah. Mm-hmm.
But even still, there's still like half the class that's not being addressed, right? There's still the actual guy himself. Like, we haven't actually seen him for a few chapters. They failed on the sleeping front and they got left behind. There's that like one panel from a couple weeks ago where it's just all of them kind of collapsed at the end, and they're like, oh, we failed. So we've only been able to touch on those two parts, but you still kind of got all of that going on in the background, and it's crazily paced.
Yeah, it is, and it's just insane. I'm actually happy to see more of her, of one of the big three, because we haven't really get to see a lot of her, if we're being honest. I mean, even in the previous arc, or like 2 previous arcs ago when he faced against the Yakuza, you didn't really get to see her. We only get to see Sun Eater and Lemillion, so. So yeah, I'm actually happy to be like, okay. And it's actually there's this one panel I really enjoy. It's actually pretty cute. It's on page 5, where like you see where she's after she attacks and after Ida talks, you see her little like pouting face, and like it's on. I know she's mad, but it's kind of cute if I'm being honest. So like yeah, but it's pretty the aftermath of this fight's still intense. I mean, you clearly see what's is it All for One? Yes, All for One trying to control Shigaraki's body.
Yeah, but he's not giving up, which is kind of interesting, because I've really been questioning, I guess, the relationship this arc, as we've kind of come to the climax of this arc.
Yeah.
Because he's still alive in prison, right? So
yes.
Well,
it could probably be a quirk. It could probably be a quirk that's doing that.
So I guess he's trying to. I guess he doesn't really take on heirs. He, dominates them, as opposed to where One for All is passed from like person to person.
He passes himself.
Takes on those quirks. Yeah, it's really exactly.
Yeah, that's a good. It's funny because like, man, I didn't think about that until you started talking about it, and then I just thought of it in my head. So.
Yeah, but it's crazy, right? Because they're very. There's a contrasted, or there's a very large contrast there between how each one has like kind of passed through the generations,
Mm-hmm.
and it made you question like, well, how is he still alive? Is it just an aging quirk? And it's kind of beyond that. It's a mental transfer quirk, and all
Looks
this
like
other
it,
type of
yeah.
stuff. It's absolutely crazy. One of the big things in one of the previous chapters where they were, I guess, having that internal quirk battle, if you will, for domination. All of the One for All previous users, they were like supporting Deku.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, All for One's trying to like control and once again like subdue Shigaraki.
Yep.
So it just makes me question, again, the nature of that relationship. Because I guess maybe at points I was truly believing he was supposed to be the next person to take it.
Yeah, and well, and if we're sticking to like with Shigaraki and Deku. I mean, the word itself, like all for one, it's all for one person. You know what I mean? Like for that one, the big boss, for that one big boss, or it's like all one for all, where you see the previous owners, predecessors, like they're all together and stuff like that. So, I mean, yeah, it's a simple wordplay, but like it works.
Because once again, you've got that. There's, 6, 7 people behind Deku, because, All Might's technically not back there yet. Like, he is, but he's not. Anyway, it's not the point.
Yeah.
But then, there's only the one guy behind All for One. That's crazy. Yeah, those are good comparisons as well.
Yeah. And then we hard cut to this girl, Toga, and Urahara. Yep.
This was kind of interesting because so for me, I get a little, I guess, not conflicted, but I question it a little bit because it seems like Toga's definition of love is not like, I will say it's not exclusive.
Yeah.
Where she's like, I love you, I love Deku, twice, I loved him as well, kind of thing. I can even take their quirks and stuff like that if I love them, all that type of thing. Like, we see some pretty big reveals here, including how, Uravity's quirk was actually used to kill someone.
Yeah.
But
that's
was a kind of shocking moment.
yeah, especially when she used in the previous, I guess when it was the villains arc, essentially, when they were facing each other against the whole.
Where it's like My Villain Academia.
Yeah, and then you see her facing against that reporter and stuff like that, and it was kind of brutal. And obviously, you agree, this girl, she gets angry because like she'll never use her powers like that. But what I also like about this chapter, you actually see her, she without telling us, it shows us her suit evolved, where she has like these tangles. Oh well, the attack, yeah, but I'm mainly talking about like little tangles that came out of her like gauntlets, where like she touches something and then like she could touch everything essentially. Like it's kind of like not tentacles, but you know what I mean. Kind of similar, yeah. Where you go ahead.
Well, no, sorry, isn't that the Zero Satellite thing? Because where she picks up all those pieces of gear, right?
Yep.
And she's like throwing.
Oh yeah. But like you see it, you see her use it before too, like trying to hit Toga with it. So like it's like little things like that. Like oh man, like she really like adapted her suit over the winter because it is, unless it's still winter, I can't remember. Like over the winter break. So that was pretty cool. Like I do like that. And yeah, I do agree. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But like yeah, her definition of love is. I'm curious what that means for her. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't want to say she's.
An interesting one.
Yes.
I won't make any crazy judgment calls, but I think I know what you're alluding to. Yeah, and that's kind of part of my point. Right?
Like that, like does she actually like love them, or is it just like does she know what that means because she's still young, or she's just because she's not like there in the head? You know what I mean?
That's kind of a big point of that chapter, right? Is she's like, oh, like I know you like Izuku, and you're sitting there kind of like, well, yeah, we've all known that. Excuse me, but she's like chosen to crush it down a little bit, essentially, right?
Yeah.
And that's all kind of brought into conflict here in terms of it's never really been addressed to this degree. So it's kind of like there's clearly again a point to kind of contrast the one is pursuing their desires and it's kind of like leading them astray, making them do bad things, I guess, kind of like Toga, right?
Mm-hmm.
She used her love, supposedly, technically speaking, right, to kill someone. Meanwhile, Uravity, on the other hand, is to kind of protect people, right? She's like, I need to not be thinking about him getting confused, all these types of things. I need to put people and myself first, kind of thing. So, and you're seeing her be a hero, saving people. So it's kind of like interesting to see that again, that contrast, right, where it's leading them down different paths because of what they decided to do with that same idea, if you will.
Yeah, and I'm curious. Like, I guess she found her Toga found her answer because, like, because she was telling her, and I'm curious, like, her upbringing, like, cause like, when it comes to Toga, like, I assume, okay, maybe, yeah, she's bisexual or whatever, and she could like girls and guys, but I'm also like, did her like parents tell her to like not don't express that? That's what she said when I was little. I was told to stop being me, stop being her. I mean, obviously there's more to it. You know what I mean? With like, I think her parents are dead, right? And like us, her killing other people. And like with you agree, with her saying like, you can live how you want to live, but just you have to live with the consequences. And it's like you see Toga like the next page, saying right, I thought so. But you see actually, looking closer, you see tears coming out of her eyes. So like, I guess she agrees with you. I guess she found her answer that she was looking for. And so.
Well, what it is, like, to be honest, like, I guess I read the last couple chapters, but I'm still not even entirely sure exactly what she's asking. Like, I do to an extent because
I know what you mean. Yeah, it's a little confusing.
She's not pleased, obviously, with like Twice's death.
Yep.
Fox obviously did that KO.
But, yeah, because she's mad at the heroes. She was like, well, I gotta like, why are the heroes doing this and stuff like that? Because she's seen like, I guess Hawks killed twice, right, so to speak.
Yeah.
So.
Well, do you think it's more supposed to be though? Again, it comes back to consequences. But she's thinking, okay, that's right. You guys also have to live with them, and by gravity, like acknowledging that, she's like, okay, I can kind of continue to do my thing because I'm okay with the consequences.
Yeah,
like, I want the revenge kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like he, yeah, that's man, that's a great point because she's probably thinking like, well, since Twice is dead, and Hawks did it, Hawks needs to like pay the price. Yeah.
Exactly, right?
So, and like and she could be like, well, like now all the heroes need to like, get it.
Yeah, get justice. Yeah, I feel you. That's exactly it, right? It's like the heroes also need to live with the consequences of their actions, and I think that's kind of one of the bigger problems that always kind of comes to the heart of certain I guess comic-esque stories where you have superheroes on a level like this, where if you look at the Justice League, they get called into question, right? You look at things like S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Avengers, they get called into question because there's always this. I don't even want to. I don't like. There's a term for it, and it's not coming to my head right now. Well, I guess collateral damage.
Yeah.
That never truly gets accounted for, right? I'll never forget watching Man of Steel and seeing Superman just like blitz through building after building while he's fighting Zod, and I'm sitting there thinking, okay,
that's a lot of buildings.
That's a lot of buildings,
yeah.
And there's a whole lot of that with heroes in this world as well, in the My Hero Academia universe, and that's part of it. It's always there. That's why Stain has kind of even arisen to an extent because there are too much people jumping on the bandwagon. So maybe it's a little bit of Toga, finally embracing that Stain belief.
Yeah, because she's, as she runs away, she goes back to the League with her head cleared up. So I'm thinking, yeah, I guess she's, since she's gonna go back to the League, she's gonna be like, okay, now I'm like I'm more headstrong about it. I know where my focus is at. Like I'm gonna do this for Twice. I'm gonna do this for myself. There's no more like, just because I love Deku and stuff like that. I'm still gonna do me.
They also have to live with the consequences.
Yeah.
Thing, right? I'm still gonna do me. Yeah. No, I would agree completely.
So it's a good exchange. Definitely a good exchange. But go ahead.
No, that's what I was gonna say. Like it has been a good exchange, and I like that you have the parallel character progression kind of.
Oh, for sure, because they like even though, like again, they're both like high school girls, right? And they both like the same guy, so it's kind of like a love triangle, but like intensified, so to speak, if you want to call it. But yeah, man. And next few page. Do you have any other thoughts?
No. Well, I was gonna move to I guess the last few pages as you kind of were too, just to like, it leaves. There's no real information given, but clearly like something's hit the fan again.
Oh man, it's insane. Well, there's probably like, I mean, you could see before we hit the final page, we could see you see Ida and this girl and Todoroki, and like they're obviously were fighting against Shigaraki, because you see the ice like caps and everything, and her flying around, and you see this guy running towards Shigaraki. I don't know if you could tell. Hirigante. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, he's in the background there.
Yep, he's running.
Okay, yeah,
he's
that's
running.
Insane.
So he's going to. It's most likely he's going to try to rescue Shigaraki, and like that's why the panel before you see Todoroki, Ida, and they're shocked and stuff like that. Like, oh shit, like if that thing's coming closer. And obviously the next panel we see this dude, and then you see what's his name? Oh yeah, god damn, this is terrible. We assume it's Todoroki's brother, but it probably Dabi. Yeah, there. Thank you.
Come on, you'll remember like Jigoto, whatever, but you can't remember Dabi.
I know.
No, Dabi's been super cool though as a character. I like the presumed Todoroki family. I think he is, but like it's not him anymore. Kind of similar to like the Nomus. I was wondering that as well. That was kind of my thought.
The Nomus and also
Nomu where the quirk got transferred again.
It could be that. It's also like or like the shadow dude. I forgot what's his name. The one that could teleport everybody.
Yeah.
Remember that's Eraserhead's friend back in high school, who's literally his power was completely different. His power was basically like Son Goku, where like he had.
Oh yeah.
Well, like he looked like Son Goku, but his power was like he could make clouds, if I can remember correctly. So completely different from like teleporting.
I guess it stayed, right? Maybe because I guess if you compare it to All for One, it's a personality kind of carries through with quirks, obviously. Right? He's got quite literally a dominating personality.
Yeah, I mean, it could be like a brother we never met, power, but with a like completely different person. You know what I mean? Like it could be that.
Yeah, that's possible as well. I mean, I don't want to say it looks like the portrait of the brother from back during that very
brief,
very short training arc. Yeah.
It's just very interesting that the way he paneled the last page, and again, probably not intentional, right? It could just be like cinematic, where you see Todoroki and then you see like Dabi like right next to each other, like
he's on top, like smirking kind of thing.
Yeah, and then you see obviously the two like you see the who assume you see Deku will become the number one hero next to the who's now the hero, who's the number one hero with Endeavor.
Oh, that's interesting. I wasn't getting. That's interesting. So you've got like the dark relations on the outside, but like that kind of when you put all of those relationships together, then I look at like Ida and Nijire, and I'm like, you guys shouldn't be.
Yeah, but they're like they're
so bad.
but they're facing against Shigaraki, so like again, I'm probably just reading too much into it. So like within the panel.
No, but I do like that connection because it is kind of interesting. I wasn't totally like I had kind of put a little bit of that together because I noticed that you have the League of Villains on the outside and then you do have I guess the two main heroes on the inside. So yeah, you're just kind of delving into that a little further. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, man. But awesome chapter. Like this whole arc. I mean, just in general, like it's just been so wild since it started. Like from like we see this bunny girl hero like oh hell yeah she's like sick. To like, oh man, she doesn't have her arm anymore.
To like, man, that was obscene. Right?
To like Shigaraki, like, oh no.
15 chapters ago.
Yeah, and then Shigaraki hitting his powers, like, oh man, I don't want to see that. I want to see him get strong. I mean, like, we're gonna have to, but like, it's kind of crazy where like Shigaraki's if we're talking about power structure, it's like one touch can kill anything, right? So like you could.
I know it's OP.
It's very like. You need to get away, you need to get around that, and then we see that with, Deku. And then, like, just a whole bunch of other stuff, just, like, a whole bunch of heroes. It reminded me, it's very similar to, like, not similar, but, like, how all the heroes just bum rush that, like, facility, right? The hospital and the whole city and everything.
Yeah.
It's like a bunch. It's like a lot of. It's basically the whole hero population. What it's so it seems very similar to like the Dark Knight Rises. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie where like, all right, we're gonna take every cop from this city and bring them down to the sewer to take down Bane. So and obviously they get trapped and fail. But like, yeah, it's just an intense like everyone's here. Smash.
This is it. This is make or break. Yeah. Which, to be honest, I guess that's why we've got some friends that are thinking to themselves, oh well, this is the final arc. But
I don't think so.
Again, I don't think that's possible.
Nope.
We've
I
talked
don't think
about that
so.
a bunch of times. I really don't.
No, this is definitely not the final arc. This is definitely a big war arc for sure, or like a big battle arc, so to speak. Yeah,
Yeah, and I know you haven't seen it yet, but I just saw Heroes Rising because I couldn't get to it when it was out in theaters. And if when you see kind of like I guess what the ending would have been and where this is going,
yeah.
I don't see that same thing happening, and with the way everything's set up now, there's not enough resolution,
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, it's just going to be super interesting to kind of see the end of this arc come to a close. Where's it going to go? Eraser's lost a leg, as you mentioned.
Yep.
You got the bunny hero who's mangled as well. This is not an unscathed hero population.
Oh no, and then like
the
again here Higante, he ransacked through that whole town. I'm pretty sure some people got injured, or a lot of people did.
Didn't they evacuate the whole city, or is
I want
it
to say
to a different city?
I want to say they probably evacuated. I want to say probably evacuated, but like,
because they got that whole district emptied out, right?
Yeah, but like still. There will be like repercussions. Like I mean, with any like My Hero arc, there's always repercussions. Like either to the character's body, mental, like like mentality, or just like society in itself. Where like we lost All Might, Deku can't use his arms that much. Stuff like that. Or like, oh man, the UA got invaded. Like how like now with this arc, the aftermath is gonna be pretty massive. Where like we had all these heroes and they couldn't like do jack squat against 10 people.
Still lost against like one guy,
yeah.
It's like the number one hero is like not easily defeated, but he required the help of
everyone, and they still
people.
Like there will be people who be like,
I don't have a home to go back to. I don't have, because that's very true. There's well, I guess that's why you have damage control.
Yeah, but and even then it's like, man, like how will like society will see after this, and it's or like in their world where like, do we even need heroes if they're not even doing their job right? You know what I mean? So it's definitely gonna be a while. I'm like pretty excited for the aftermath. We're like, man, how is society gonna be after this? You know what I mean? Like, is UA gonna like diminish? So to speak. Like they're like, we're the number one hero school, but now like, do we need a hero school if we can't even produce great heroes? We can't stop like 10 people.
Savage, yeah, but true. Well, there's some confliction there too, because they're like one of the youngest classes to go get their provisional licenses and stuff, right? So, yeah, but I get what you're saying. There's a whole lot of risk and reward to be taken depending on how this ends up kind of wrapping up. So, depending on that, it's going to set the stage going forward again, which I guess is kind of the big thing in a My Hero arc. It's like, I'm gonna alter the status quo a little bit going forward.
Yep. But I think that'll do. I mean, that we've gone through 4 mangas and did pretty good. Any final thoughts?
No, I think we've kind of covered everything. I'm looking forward to obviously all of next week's chapters. We'll be cutting a lot of this down and just kind of chunking it off into smaller discussions. And I'm definitely missing something. Well, I guess we'll see what we're going to be doing from a series standpoint. If we take on a couple more, if we stick with maybe just these 4 for now, I think we'll still definitely get the monthly series in.
Super.
That,
correct,
we'll just have to see what we do on a weekly basis.
Yeah, for sure. But right now, these 4 series for now. I mean, again, we could probably add another one. Let's put down the line, but let's just stick. And if people want us, if they want us to talk about another manga that something else, I don't mind reading something. something new and talking about it. But
yeah, to get like new suggestions for sure. Absolutely, definitely take some of those as well. But I guess obviously, preferably no scanlations. Want to support the industry. These guys and girls work super, and these people work super hard at this job. So yeah, just do your best to read it officially.
Yeah, the best that we can. Well, other than that, like, you know, I think it's a pretty good episode. Can't really think of anything else to, like, talk about. Like,
no, we'll call it here. We'll have more things to look forward to next week.
Oh, for sure. All right, man. So this has been the console room. I'm Mr. Aisharp. You know, follow my page. I'll have it down in the description. And Emperor Cusco.
I'm Emperor Cusco, and yeah, thanks for watching.